All right, let's call to order the Michigan City Fire Merit Commission meeting. The date is September 10th at 6 p.m. Let's start out with saying the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Griffin, if you'll start out with the roll call, please.
Greg Deutscher.
Here.
Robert Pollock.
Here.
Charles Williams.
Here.
Edward Zachman.
Here.
Ricky Jackson.
Here.
We also have Chief Private and Andy Nelson here.
And attorney.
And attorney. Sorry, it's okay.
Yep, she's here. Yep, she's hiding. She's hiding way back there. On the agenda, we got the approval of the minutes. We haven't met in 4 months. Yeah, 4 months. I'm gonna just ask everybody that our April of 2020 was the regular minutes. Everybody received them.
No, I didn't, but...
You did?
You did not?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So, you want to hold off on the approval until the next meeting then?
Well, or I just abstain if everybody else wants to vote.
If anybody else has seen it, is there a motion to approve the minutes by April?
Well, I think I might have missed. We had a meeting in April?
I thought it was March.
No, I don't think we did.
No, I don't think we did in April. I thought the last meeting, because we didn't have a quorum.
And you know what, you might be right, we had a meeting, but we couldn't open it.
That was in February, you had the one without the quorum.
Yeah, February I missed my train.
All right, so let's hold off on the approval.
So, did we cancel it?
Yeah.
I don't think we had a meeting.
I think our last meeting was in January.
Last official meeting was January.
So let's move on, we'll move on into the communications complaints part of it. Bob, do you have,
But you just changed my numbers, but okay. First of all, right off the bat, we've got to approve the salaries for the commissioners, the secretary, and the attorney. For background, the commission gets $150 a month. For 5 of us, that's $750. Secretary gets $238.50. The attorney gets $500. And we need to approve then, I have it as the May, June, July, August, and September fees that were not paid. If you take the $1488.50, which is the total monthly amount, times that 5 months, I get $7,442.50. So I would request a motion, and I'll make the motion, that we approve the $7,442.50. And I'll have to find out what happened in April, because I had assumed, since there was a meeting, that in point of fact, they had approved this. If they haven't, then at the next meeting, I'll have to approve the April number.
okay. So the motion.
This would include, just so everybody understands, this would include the months of May, June, July, August, and September, which is what we currently are in. And when this thing about the April situation is straightened out, depending on how it comes out, I'll make the motion.
So,
I'm not sure I...
please, you guys do a motion.
I'm sorry, Angie, I can't understand.
Before you guys make a motion, so do you guys have it set up, because I know COVID changed everything. So do you have it set up as salary regardless if you attend a meeting or not? Okay. So I don't think we had April.
Well,
I don't think we had March. So, but you'll come back to this. So you're just gonna make the motion?
yes, all I'm making the motion on right now is May, June, July, August, and September. What happened in April has yet to be decided, so I won't make a motion on that until we get a decision.
You can go back and do a second motion
Right.
at the next meeting for March or April, whatever you need to do.
So I have a motion by Mr. Pollock. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Zechman. Is there, I guess, Terry, if you take the roll, please, the tally.
Greg Deutscher.
Yes.
Bob Pollock.
Yes?
Charles Williams.
Yes.
Ed Zachman.
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes. So the motion passes. Before we get into the city council part of the thing, we also have communications and claims, under the communications and claims.
Well, that was the payroll and the attorney fees. Now, the next part of that has to do with two different budgets. So let me just start by saying that our budget is scheduled for hearing before the City Council Finance Committee September the 23rd at 4:30 p.m. And that is the police commission is first, fire commission is second, and obviously I will attend and go over that. Where we currently stand, and this is a little bit misleading because we're going to have to go into what has not yet been paid. But currently, through the month of August, we have used 23% of our budget, or in terms of dollars, $15,369.19. However, the things that have to be added to that we have not yet, because we haven't been invoiced for it, taken into consideration. The easy one, the Fire Merit Commission does not get a salary in January. They do get paid twice in December. So a little bit misleading here is the additional amount we're going to need for the Fire Commission salaries, because they get double paid in December. That would be $750. In terms of the promotional testing, I had an additional $6,000. It appears that may be a little bit low, and we may need an additional $1,000, I am told, or somewhere in that neighborhood. But right now, I'm planning for $6,000. I haven't seen any invoice for that additional $1,000, so when I see it, I can take it into consideration. But right now, we're looking at an additional $6,000. In addition to that, and I don't know how the chief is going to work with this, but for the firefighting school, we're sending 3 people either this year or next year. So if we send them this year, we would need $160 per student times 3, $480, that's their tuition fee. We would also need $1,500 per student, because that's the fee that we're going to get charged for meals and transportation, times 3, $4,500. So as a result of that, we're going to come out with $4,980. Put it all together, and we're going to need an additional $11,730. And I also just picked up an invoice around here for an additional $3,600 for the EMT Type B course. So it comes out to $15,330. Put that together with the $15,369 that we've already spent, and you're probably looking at my quick and dirty calculation is we're about 50% in terms of our budget, which in the month of August, that's coming pretty close. So at this point, we have to allocate that those will be expended and they will be paid. So I'll just move the adoption of my budget report. If there's any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer those questions.
Good. Do we need a motion?
I motion we accept the budget.
We're here, yeah.
Motion by,
I'll second.
okay. Motion by Greg, seconded by Ed. Terry, can you take a tally for us?
Fred Gaiter,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes?
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zagnow,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes.
Just one footnote to that. Again, it's going to depend, 3 of these firefighters, on when we actually send them to that school. Right now, we could send them this year. We have the money in the budget to send those 3 to do that. Or if we hold off next year, then I'll have to go through the budget committee in the city council when I get there and let them know. Because right now, if we don't send them this year, I'm going to have 9 people in the budget for next year, and I'll tell you exactly how we got there. Any questions on that? Okay, budget for next year. I had to submit this in June, so obviously we analyzed this situation, I guess I can use an accountant term, and came up with these numbers. Some other people might use a little bit different term, but here's where we're at. In terms of salaries, basically, they're going to stay the same. So for the city, the Fire Merit Commission, we come out with, and the secretary, we come out with $11,891 for the employee benefits. This would be Social Security et al., $910. The office supplies, I put in $200. the one that is a little bit of a discussion term. The academic testing, if we have to hire additional firefighters, which I assume we will. So for the year 2021, now this is only the academic testing, this is not the physical agility testing. I added $1,000. We would have to buy new tests, I think. So assuming that we would have to buy new tests, under other supplies for office, I added $1,000 to purchase those tests. Professional services stands at $6,000, communication and transportation / postage at $200. That's one, I've been doing the budget for about 8 years now, and the city controller just kind of at the end of the year takes that $200 and puts it wherever. And I've never quite figured out how they do that, but they do, so I've allocated to that. So, as a result of that, right now, we're sitting with a total budget of $37,642. Now, that $37,642 comes down like this. 9 firefighters. Chief, I was looking at the fact we have 81 on board. We need 3 more to get to the 84, and also at the same time to cover the federal grant that we got. Am I off in that, or is that basically correct?
You're accurate on that.
In addition to that, I put in for 6 people and this covers retirements, quits, and transfers. So I said that I thought, and this is just a statistical utilization that I have, we would have 6 quits, terminations, transfers, retirements. Does that seem to be pretty much in the ballpark?
If everything goes the way it's supposed to, there are 6 that are.
So, yeah, statistics, you can do anything you want with statistics, and I had to look at about 5 or 6 years, and that's about where I came up with it. Although I in the back of my mind, I was thinking about this COVID situation, and there might be fewer people that would be tempted to leave until all of this had ended. But other than that, I came out with basically where we stood analytically over a number of years. So 9 people times the $160, $1,440. 9 people, now if we get 3 of them this year, then we'll only have to do 6 next year. 9 people times $1,500 to travel to Valpo, $13,500. The physical agility testing. Now I only have 1 physical agility test, which means that if we give 1 academic test, we do 1 physical agility test. The academic test isn't really all that expensive. Once you bought the test, that's going to cover you. The secretary does the grading of the test, so this is not something that's significantly expensive. The physical agility testing, because basically we've done it over 4 days. 3 days of practice where the individuals who are going to be potentially firefighters go through the practice sessions, and then 1 day where it's actual. So I had 4 days. It generally runs us about $500 per day on average. And then now that the first part of that, the practice set doesn't cost quite so much, but the actual physical agility testing, because we have quite a few fighters out there, does cost more than that, so it averages out to somewhere about $500 for each day, 4 days, $2,000. Now, miscellaneous. We badly need a new mannequin. And the firefighters can tell me if I'm off on this one, but I think that mannequin weighs about 150 pounds. Basically, as part of the physical agility testing, what they have to do, anybody that's better at this than I am, it looks to me like it's about 50 feet up and 50 feet back. So as a result of that, they've got to be able to drag this mannequin. And for those of you that have seen the mannequin, it's in very bad repair. So I put $500 in there for a new mannequin, and we could use a new clock, but if they get the mannequin, I'm happy. We can survive with the clock we've got. So it comes down to right now, when I finally came up with all of this, the total budget that I came out with was $37,642. Now, what I missed, and we're going to have to talk about this one, was the fact that I was under the impression that the 160 was what it was per person. In addition to that, we also have to pay for an EMT-B course, and that's $1,200 for each one that goes through that. So when I go before the city council, I'm going to have to add that in. I'm glad Angie's here tonight to hear me say that, but I will have to put those numbers in. Now, if we send the 3 individuals to the Valpo training class this year, we've got the money in there. And so as a result of that, I will have some money left over that I can use for this in the year 2021. You didn't hear that, did you? I'm being honest. So as a result of that, there's where we stand. And I'm going to have to calculate in now this additional $1,200 per student for the EMT classes. Any questions?
Do you think if you got them in this year, that you would be able to get them in the EMT this year too? Or will we?
Well, I've got the money if the chief can get them in. Now, the question is going to be, is Valpo willing to run that school because they may be shut down because of the COVID situation?
There's currently EMT-B class going on.
I'm sorry, I can't hear back there.
We have an EMT-B class currently going on where we have 3 of our probationary firefighters in that class as we speak.
Could we get them, is there a possibility?
You can't get them into it now because it's already halfway through the class.
No, nice try.
So, and it's just a matter of finding the next class.
Do you have any idea when the next class might be?
Not offhand, no.
Okay. So that's where we stand, folks. Any questions?
Anything else under communications and claims?
Well, I'll move you that, or the acceptance of my budget report.
Okay. Need a motion to accept the budget report for next year.
I think you make both.
He made the motion.
Oh, you make the motion? Okay, Bob made the motion. Who's doing the second?
I'll second.
Charles is doing the second. Terry, if you do the roll, please.
Greg Deuter,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zachman,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yeah. Motion passed. All right, communications and claims, one more thing. I didn't see it in the minutes with everything going on, us not having a meeting, whether it's been 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it's been. We have our promotional testing, which is coming up a week from this Saturday, on the 19th. Okay? I want to see if I can get a motion, first of all, to accept URE Consultants as the testing company, and then after that, we need a second motion just to cover ourselves as for the cost of this actual test. Is there a motion to?
I'll make a motion to accept URE as the testing authority.
Okay,
I'll second it.
so I've got a motion by Ed, seconded by Bob. Terry, with the tally, please.
Greg Deuter,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zachman,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes.
So I'd just like to make one comment, if I might. We didn't get a chance to talk after the second. In my opinion, and I've been on this commission now for about 9 years, this is a much more professional situation than we've had in the past. In the past, it's kind of been one lady who teaches at Purdue, well, at that time was Purdue North Central, who kind of gave the tests, and sometimes they got properly graded, and sometimes there was problems, and so on and so forth. I think, while this is going to be a lot more expensive, I think this is much more professional, and will do the kind of job that the fire department deserves.
Okay, second part of it, Bob, I believe you've got the invoice there for testing. I think it was $6,050, $6,000.
It was, yeah, $6,000 for the test and $50 for shipping.
Okay. So is there a motion to pay the invoice for $6,050?
Well, I'll make that motion, man, good.
I'll second.
So I have a motion by Bob, seconded by Charles. Terry at the tally.
Greg Deuter,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zachman,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes, the motion passes. We feel a lot more official now that we've done that, right?
Well, It's just that because of the COVID-19 situation, we are going to have some surprises. And I'm glad Angie's here because they're going to hear about it in the Finance Committee, and that's all I can do is tell them what it is.
So when you were doing your report and you brought up the deal with the testing,
I'm sorry, I can't.
when you brought up your report and you were talking about the $6,000 for the testing, but we could also be looking all the way up to $7,000.
Up to, yeah.
I just want to explain that so that everybody knows what's going on. For the testing, to bring us up to the national standards that is expected of us, I got with the chief and the assistant chief and the training officer. Materials were put into the fire stations so the firemen could actually train for the test, study for the test. We're not sure where that's at. I don't believe it's anywhere near $1,000. I just threw out that it could be up to $1,000. And with all this, I haven't, because everything's been on lockdown. We haven't even checked because actually them books and the study materials, they may have already been paid. So it may actually already be done and over with too.
I can double check that one because I'm glad you said that because the last thing in the world we want is to double pay.
Right. And
so yeah, I can check that.
But at the same point, we couldn't wait around for things to lighten up and all this. This testing is going through. It's going to happen a week from this Saturday unless there's a major catastrophe that hits Michigan City. We're not going to wood it don't, but we're testing Saturday. Okay? Next on the agenda is going to be the report from the City Council.
Are we that far down already?
I'm afraid so.
Oh. Well, I don't have anything except for, the budget hearings are coming up, and with that being said, I think you have a good proposal. I know I spoke to the chief briefly the other day to talk about, the list and both lists, and what we can do differently maybe going forward, because we're struggling to get anybody on both at this time. So it's costly every time we try to do that. And we got to figure out a more efficient way to get it done. We're going to have to be a little bit more creative, I think, and maybe look at the ordinance and evaluate that and see what we can do differently, because we got to get qualified candidates on the list, on both. And whatever that looks like, we're going to have to make some adjustments, because right now, all of the cities across northern Indiana are struggling. And everybody's just kind of taking from one another. And I don't want us to get in a situation where we're training people and then they're leaving us after so many years. We want them to be here because they want to be here. But in order to do that, we got to have the right benefits and the right package. So I think there's a little give and take for that, and we got to figure out a way to do that better and to create a pipeline. I know we have the academy at A.K. Smith, and but the age, gap between graduating our folks and then getting them a job, there's a lapse. So what do we do to keep them engaged? Do we give them a promise?
It's 3 years.
Promise scholarship to do something in that time frame? If they graduate from the program, maybe we offer them the promise scholarship to go to Ivy Tech for 2 years, but can we cover some of the testing and things they need to be done with the promise scholarship? There might be some opportunity. I mean, we have money in that bucket. Why not let those guys and girls that graduate from that program have some of that money to get some EMT qualifications and some different things? It's all educational. So I think we have some creative ways that we can do some things, and maybe to keep them on the path of receiving some certifications, and then when it's time for testing, maybe they get some type of allowance. I don't know what that looks like, but we really need to look at that, because why have them go through the program and not use them in our pipeline? I think that's probably the most efficient way of first of all, developing firefighters the way we want them to be. So, but other than that, I don't have anything. Just the budget.
Let me come back and talk a little bit, I think, about what Angie's talking about, because this can have a fairly significant effect on us. When she's talking about the listings, I think she's talking about minority-majority listing. And basically, I've been through 3 different concepts. 2 minorities for each majority. Then it was 1 minority and 1 majority. And then there was another one that said just take them by the numbers, it doesn't matter. The situation we run into is that the more we have the two minorities for the one majority, the more testing we have to do, which means that we have more academic testing and we have more physical agility testing, and it's the physical agility testing which is really the cost part of that. So if we would get to the point that it's two minorities, one majority, then I'm gonna need more money because I've only got one full testing situation in there. One academic and one for physical agility testing. Now, the second thing that she's talking about has to do with, we put these firefighters through all of this training, and sooner or later they get hired by ArcelorMittal and a number of other companies, and we lose them. We have talked about this in the past, and that is having them sign a contract when they go through. Now, we can't overburden them by law, but what we can do is ask for the remuneration for what it cost us to put through those training. And that's going to be more of a city attorney / city council situation than what we're in. But it's something that I think really badly needs to be done.
Oh, I agree. But I think that those are things that we really need to look at over the next year, and what we can do differently, because we're struggling to get qualified candidates, period. So we know we're going to need firefighters, and we know the demographics of the workforce. So
that's the other problem. If they can't pass the academic test, then we have to go out and test more again, just because we can't get people that can pass the test, and that runs the cost back up again.
Yep, I'm good. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the commission's attorney's report.
We do not have anything to report.
A report from Union Local 475. Is there anybody here from Union?
You got nothing to report?
Thank you, sir. Report from Fire Chief Kryback. Chief, why don't you come up and grab the podium?
Good evening, everybody. This is going to be a little bit lengthy, seems like we haven't had meetings for quite a while. First thing, I'm going to give in regards a little to the testing portion. As we discussed, here are some example letters for your pleasure to look at. And this is in regards for the promotional testing coming up, where everybody is signed up. That way they can get a letter in the mail or delivered to them through the department to show that they are actually qualified in order to take the test. Here's a copy for each of you there. And I'm sure you guys are going to go in discussion a little bit more on how the promotional testing is going to work. The second letter is a list which shows the compiled evaluations, what the written score is going to be, seniority, and it's all for your reviewing to look, see if you have any modifications to that.
Required 5822 Franklin Assessment Express on Keeper for an unconscious subject. 5822 Franklin Assessment Express on Keeper for an unconscious subject.
Okay. With that being said, just one more on the promotional testing coming up. Times, are we going to go with the times that we currently have utilized in the past, where it's going to be 9 to 11 and then 1 to 3? Been broken into the promotional testing for next Saturday.
Promotional testing, the company is saying the testing to be 3 hours.
Okay.
So you're looking at 9 to noon, take an hour break,
And then do it 1 to 4.
and do it
Just so
1 to 4.
Now, are we going to do the driver, operator, and captain's test in the morning, and then the lieutenant and assistant chief's test in the afternoon?
Chief, what I wanted to ask with that is because of the space that we have, your social distancing, blah, 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 that type of stuff. Number-wise, when you even it out to where it's not going to be the 2 largest classes, of course, your driver, operator, and your lieutenant, I wouldn't think you'd want to do those. I mean, you could fill this room up pretty quick. You're looking at 45 people.
Once this room is completely open, you should be able to social distance to get that. Really, The only thing I have to say on that aspect of it is because the current driver operators, if they have enough time in rank, they are eligible to take the lieutenant and the captain's test. So you can't have the captain and lieutenant's test at the same time.
Split those two up.
So those have to be split. We had one retirement since the last time we had a meeting. That was Captain Rob Schaefer. He had a little bit over 20 years on the job. So we wish him good luck in his retirement. We currently are at 81 firefighters. We have gotten the okay to hire 3 more firefighters to get us back up to the 84 firefighters where we were. So what we're going to need to do at the current time before the hiring freeze took effect, and we already had 2 firefighters for the 2 previous gentlemen that retired. 2 of those people had already gone through PERF and public safety medical and were slated to get hired on the job, and then we had the hiring freeze, so we had to delay that process. With that being said, we contacted both individuals that had already gone through public safety and got accepted into PERF. One has respectfully declined because he took employment somewhere else. So the other one has been contacted and he has accepted and he'll be starting here next week. So in turn, I would request the next 2 names on the hiring list so we can make contact with them and try to get that process started to get those 2 potential firefighters hired.
Commissioners, is there a motion to bring in the next 2 names?
I'll move that we provide the next 2 names.
I have a motion by Bob Pollock. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Greg Deutscher. Terry with the tally.
Greg Deutscher,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zagnow,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes.
I have a question, I'm sorry, I should have asked it for you. So how many do you have left on the list?
I don't have the
I don't think we know right now.
At least 5?
I think we've got about 8 on the list. If I'm remembering right, this should put us down to about 7 or 8.
I'm gonna make a suggestion for the next time, just in case. I would make a motion to move through the list until you get 2 that accept, right? Because you may call the next 2 and they may decline. So now you gotta wait till the next meeting unless you wanna make another motion. All I'm saying is, it might behoove you to have it more open and say, instead say, until you get 2 that accept,
Start at the top of the list and just move down.
until you get 2 that accept.
Well, and what we usually do, well, I'm not gonna say that's what we usually do. This is what I think we've done in the past, is before we even have this meeting, we actually put a phone call out to the person to see if they're still interested.
Okay.
And that way, am I saying that right, Chief, or is this a blind?
No, these individuals have not been contacted. I don't know who the individuals are, so I have to wait until.
Because you might call them and they say,
All
yeah,
right, I'll withdraw my second if whoever made the motion will
I
withdraw.
think you already took the vote.
So
So
we'll go with it this time. and we'll
You guys
just-
ran so fast, I can't get it in, but
We want to make a new motion. like
yes,
you
make
said,
a
that
new
way.
one, and then instead,
Well, I'll move that we go to the system. If there's 8 left on the list or however many on the list, take the top name and just go from there until ultimately we get the 2 firefighters.
yes.
That sounds logical to me. Good thought, Angie.
Okay, so I have a motion by Bob Pollock. Is there a second?
I'll second it again.
Seconded by Greg Deutscher. Terry with the tally.
Greg Deutscher,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes,
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zagnow,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes.
Sorry about that, I'm trying to catch it up. The brain was working fast enough.
A couple more things. Our 3 probationary firefighters currently, like we stated a little bit ago, are currently in EMT school. They're slated to be done, I believe, by the end of September. Then once they complete their class, then they'll be moving to being online firefighters. As far as getting people in this year, it's going to be the pleasure of the
But this will raise your number to 84, am I correct?
The 3 probationary firefighters currently will not, that has us at 81.
Okay, all right. We still got to get 3 more to get out.
That's why I called for to get the names, to get the other ones to bring us back up to, that'll get us up to the 84.
Yeah, okay.
October's approaching. We are putting in for our annual breast cancer awareness t-shirts fundraiser that we do, so they should be hopefully coming out here in the next week or so.
I got to say one thing, these are great t-shirts. Now, I'm 80, so I don't have any effect down on the beach, but for you guys that are in the 20 to 30 category and single, they go over great on the beach.
And lastly, for right now, per our executive session prior to this meeting, I'm recommending firefighter number 1, that his probation be extended. Firefighter number 2, I recommend that his probation be promoted to first class firefighter.
From the executive session, we'll do this one at a time. Firefighter number 1.
I'll make a motion that we have a hearing to, about his probationary status and extending it for moving forward.
I'll second that.
So I have a motion by Mr. Deutscher, second by Mr. Zeppelin. Barry, can you do a tally?
Greg Deutscher,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zagnell,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes. Firefighter number 2 is taking him off probation. He's got his 1 year in, that type of stuff. Is there a motion to take the second firefighter off probation?
I'll make the motion to promote firefighter to
I have a
offer
motion by Mr. Zeppelin.
probation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Williams. Terry, for the tally, please.
Greg Deutscher,
Yes.
Bob Pollock,
Yes.
Charles Williams,
Yes.
Ed Zagnell,
Yes.
Ricky Jackson.
Yes. All right, Chief, what's next?
That is all I have for this evening.
Old business? We haven't been around together, not have much in the way of old business. New business? New business, we're going to go and talk just a minute about the testing, which is a week from this Saturday. For the firefighters that are here, there's a paper that I just passed around. You got one of them? Okay. What those are is we're trying to do this testing to the point to where Saturday you come in, you take the test. Once you're done and you hand the test in, you're going to have the prerogative to stay here and have your test graded right here, and when you leave, you will have your complete score. That form is what would be handed to you. The only thing you're not going to see on that form is your name. Remember, when you come in, you pick up an ID number. That ID number is what's going to be at the top of the form, not your name. All right? That way, if it's dropped, lost, whatever, nobody knows who nobody is. Of course, I know you guys get together and talk like a bunch of tens and tens, but that's the thought, that's the concept that we're running with right now. Last time we did this, I was just coming on the commission, it was a mess. You guys were supposed to take your test in September, you didn't take it until December, then we didn't get the test graded back to us till March. Then we had to start the appeals, okay? You had a union rep that just stopped in before we even hit this room. We were already talking. The union rep had brought up the fact that there were forms you filled out to take the test. In the past, it's been a sign-up sheet that went up on a bulletin board. You signed your name up on the bulletin board. This time, it was a paper. That was my mistake. The idea was the paper, and it was supposed to be the paper, but it was also supposed to be backed up with name on the bulletin board. I blew that part, so blame me on that one. But otherwise, if everybody has their paper filled out, you'll have a test setting here when you get here Saturday. Okay? So you'll come in just like it's always been in the past, you get your number, you go down, you'll start the test. When the test is done, you'll turn the test in to one of the commissioners. The commissioners will take it to a private individual. No, I'm not saying who it is, because I know you guys can be buying pizza every day and lunch in the house, and Grubhub lined up at their door and all that thing. But a private individual will be here, they're going to grade the test. Once the test is done, the commissioner will get it and put your evaluation scores on that form, figure it out, tally up, boom, it's back to you. This testing company, the test is multiple choice. I don't know how you guys did it, because again, this is my first promotional testing. In the past, from what I've heard, there's different fire departments for the position of operator engineer. You could bring a slide chart for your test. You could bring whatever. You're not bringing any of that. We are going to supply you a calculator, and everything will be done. So it's up to that person testing to be the operator engineer to know how to figure out to solve the problem that's on the test. Is that understandable? You guys understand that part of it? Okay. I'm trying to think of what else, if there's anything else that, when you get the test, when you get your score, you still have the same right to appeal it. When you appeal it, your test will let you go through it. The cool thing about this company is they actually sent us a paper that says, question 1, the answer can be found in this book, in this chapter, on this page, and paragraph such and such. So it is going to be not like what we had on the last one. The last one, we had a situation where the firefighter literally came in and he brought a book in and set it down on this side and a book and set it on this side. This one, not saying that it's the question, but this one said fire is red hot. This one said fire is white hot. And it was the wording of it was the exact same thing. I've never dealt with this company before, but they reassured me that there is no two answers that's going to be the same. So the company is called the URE Consultant Group. They are out of Texas, and they do firefighting testing all over the United States, all the way up to Alaska, Hawaii. From what I understand, most of the state of New York is using New York. So this will bring us up to the national standards. I myself and the other commissioners have worked pretty hard trying to get this done and done right for you guys, but this is the first time we've done it this way. So if we hit snags or whatever, I guarantee we'll make it right as we go. So is there any questions?
When you're going to be able to figure out the times on those? I know we talked about it a little bit. With the various stuff.
We don't want to do, what was it again, the operators?
Got to have a captain and an operator one.
Traditionally, what has been done is it is driver operator and captains will take the test in the morning, and then in the afternoon, the lieutenant test and the assistant chief test will take place. That way you don't have the lieutenant and captain's test going on at the same time for those that are qualified to take both.
So if it's okay with the commissioners, you guys good with staying with the way we've always done it?
Good.
Okay, then that's the way it's going to be. So you know that your first test is at 9 o'clock, and we're starting at 9. If you're here at 9:05 and the doors are closed, just enjoy your Saturday off. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Firefighter Dwayne Rock. Friday, September 18th, my wife and I are scheduled to have a baby. And originally she was supposed to be born on the 25th, but due to other complications, we are scheduled to have a C-section on Friday. And with the COVID stuff going on, there might be a possibility that I can't leave the hospital. Oh, geez. Is there any type of
Wow. Because you have to release the hospital, you can't come back.
Commissioners, discussion?
That's a new one.
Thank you, Cody.
It's amazing.
Don't look at me, I know the Navy answer to that one, and you don't want it, so.
Again, this is I'm in my 5th year of the department, so this test is big for me and my growth and advancement on our department. So I'm not trying to cheat anybody out. I'm just trying to advance my career.
I have a question. Do you have an outside proctor or is it just you all?
We are the proctor, but we have an outside person grading the test.
So it's really up to you all
Well,
to make a decision. Didn't we,
was it last year, did we have somebody who was going on vacation, but that, or maybe that was a different issue? Huh?
That's a different issue.
No, I mean, he was, because last year we had this mess up where it was supposed to be the 3rd Saturday, but we miscounted, because it was like, Saturday was the 1st, remember? And I think somebody had a,
And what did you do in that case?
I'm trying to remember. Let's see, take a look if there's anything.
You've had makeup dates on Saturday.
What's that?
You have had makeup dates, like we know it's always the 3rd Saturday,
Yeah.
but then, this is past practice. If you come in the middle of April and say, Chief, this is going on, can I take the test on the alternate date, on the alternate date that this commission set up, and then you had to have justification why you couldn't take it on the regular day, and it was a big to-do. But it has happened in the past where we had 2 actual test dates.
Any thoughts?
Well, I don't agree to having 2 test dates. That's just my opinion.
But unfortunately, the baby,
Yeah,
the baby's not
I'm
on
trying to
the
think of a
fire
way for
department
him.
schedule these days, not yet.
Can I ask a question? If you talk to the hospital, can they put you in some kind of a room where you can see the baby be born, so you'll get to do that, but you'll be separate from everybody else, and then you could just walk out?
I could try that. I could talk to the hospital, yeah, but I have not at this moment.
Check with them and see if they might be able to do
Yeah,
that.
they will let him come back in.
If he leaves the hospital, he won't be able to go back.
I'm sorry, what?
Once he's out of the hospital, they will let him back in. That's the problem.
But he can see the baby be born.
Right, but once he leaves,
Then he can't, I got that part,
Right,
yeah. But
and
at least
she'll
he
be there for probably 3 days.
But at least he can see the baby be born.
I don't know if you can take the test. I think you should get the opportunity to take the test.
yeah, I do too. I do too.
Well, it's a special thing, so we'll have to have somebody, we'll have to have one special test.
Literally, here's the thing.
For him.
If he leaves the hospital and they don't let him back in, and say, God forbid, the wife and baby has to stay a week. I don't know how long wives and babies stay in a hospital these days. That's a week that he was going to see his wife and baby.
Yeah, but when you gonna set the date? How long are you gonna be there?
That's for you.
It would be pretty much just a test for one person, not they and the person. Do we have to set a date? When he's available to take the test? When is it available?
You can, I don't think you can do a
Because, I
second.
mean, it's,
I'm with Charles on this one, I don't think you can do a second test. But I do think we ought to try to see if we can't set up something for him, at least to be able to see his
That's
baby.
what I said, not-
And, you know, and after that, I mean,
Not a second test.
5 years, and maybe, I can tell you, I know guys that haven't seen their wife and kid for 7, 8 months, sometimes over a year. That's why you get one meeting counts.
you have to check the hospital.
Sorry?
I mean, I would think you would have to talk to the hospital and find out specifically what the rules are about coming and going and separation and ensure that the commission, you know, at least the chair or the president, at least to find out what to do next. You really can't make a decision based on not knowing full.
Yeah, what the hospital rules are.
So,
when you leave here today, I'll give you my number. If you give as much information out as you need. So, because I knew myself, this is me personally, and I talk for them, me, you know, in hell I miss it.
Should never let you forget.
But I do understand the severity of the testing. And I don't know if there's a second or do they give, with the testing, do they do, is it the same exact test or they multiple, iterations of the same test or?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah. Is there one test, or is there a
One test.
variety of tests?
If we,
Sorry.
Because that's the other issue.
if we gave the test, and he wasn't here for it, if we could get, because the other firefighters have already taken the test, okay? I don't see any firefighter here, because you're not getting to take the test with you. I don't see any firefighter here that's gonna memorize 100 questions. I really don't. So in order for him to get the test, say he got the test, and before we hear any appeals, where the firefighters actually get to look at their tests again, if we got his testing done, I still think we're in a secure area where he wouldn't be able to get information.
I don't know, but we don't have that much to share answers with.
Yeah.
They all love us, and they all fight for an engineer's position.
Right.
And yeah, again, this is a competitive testing, so I don't think that
There would be an
anybody's
issue.
going to want to give him the
Right.
answers.
Right.
But
We're also looking at your 10-day appeal. You got 10 days to appeal, and now he's taking a test later, so you're in there 10 days to appeal, and that gives him 10, 12, 14 days to appeal, depends when he takes the test. Man, this is making a lot of different problems.
That's the day before the test, right?
The day before?
So the baby is the day before the test. Is there a way the day before they go on the bird? That would be my only recommendation, is that it happens sooner than he does his on the 18th, you do it day over the 19th, and it's all done.
And I don't have a problem with that. That would be up to the commission to make a motion and vote on that, but I can tell you, I'll give my day
But you
up.
still need that information.
And I do, but at that point, I give my day up to come in here and set with it. Okay? So, but we need
Because then
to,
they're all graded together.
yeah, we need to get that information as soon as you can. Like I said, I'll give you my number and stuff, and you let me know where we're at. But it would be the same thing, God forbid, that a firefighter, again, God forbid, loses a family member and all of a sudden the funeral's on Saturday.
Right.
You know, we can't just leave that person out in the cold and take away that opportunity for 2 years. At least I don't care that.
No, not being he has 5 years on it, it's time for him to be promoted.
Right.
If he had 2 years on, I think, 5 years, he should be getting promoted.
So, me personally, I'll tell you, I'll do everything I can. Because these guys brought it up back there now, in the back row behind you, okay? Literally, your kid's gonna be graduating from college, you're gonna say out something online, and that wife's gonna look at you and go, but you were there!
There's so many things that go on, I don't know, I had to.
All right.
They dropped me off and left.
Is there any other new business or anything else that needs to come before the commission?
Okay, well, what are we doing here? He's gonna find out?
He's gonna get the information on what the rules are and regulations are, he'll get with me, and then I'll get with you guys.
Okay, so we might have to have like a special meeting or
If we have to
something.
have a special meeting, then we'll have a special meeting.
Okay. I think what happened with that thing last year was that we rescheduled the test anyway because there was a bunch of
48 hours notice.
weird stuff
I
going
do
on.
that ASAP.
Well, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
Any other new business? Public comment, firefighters, public comment? Public comment? Public comments closed. Commission comments. Commissioners, just remember, these guys are going to be rolling in here next Saturday, probably, I would say 8:30 or so. If you guys can get here by 8 o'clock, I know. Get you a strong cup of coffee. And then also, we are going to do the dry run. Chief, do you have a certain time that'd be good for you for a dry run?
That's up to you.
We're going to dry run the test just to make sure that we're not missing anything in the way that everybody comes in and moves and they walk out. Where are they going? Are they going to go over here to this side? They want the offices? that type of stuff. I want to make sure that this goes, we spent all this time and all this money, we want to make sure it's right. So if you could be here, that's fine. I'm going to say the 15th at, has anybody got a problem with 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock? 15th at 5 o'clock, we'll be here for the, to go over the test.
I think I have a problem.
Will you just send an email to remind us?
I can't.
MRI
On that day?
the 15th, yeah.
Look at this, I'm tearing the phone. All right, we'll fill you when you.
I might be here.
Okay.
It's at
Yep.
2 o'clock in South Bend.
All right. Anybody got anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Bob, second by Ed, or Greg, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
So